One of the guys next to me said, "Hey, Mike, look at this picture." Showed me a picture of a friend of his who was at that moment floating down a lower sack and had been having a terrible day. Only caught like 2 fish so far, really hard fishing. And so when they finally caught a fish, he pumped his stomach and he squirted it out in his hand. He said, "What is this?" And I looked and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a whole fistful of bright orange scuds." And what made that remarkable for me is that I've seen the river for many years and I'd never seen more than just a few little small tan or olive scuds before. So I knew they were there, but I didn't think they were really of much import because there just didn't seem to be hardly any of them there. And so when I saw this picture, it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea there was so many. I've got to come up with a pattern and try that. And so about a week later, I told a friend, let's go out and fish the river. And I only had about 20 minutes to tie a few scuds up. I just quick whipped up a couple things, brought them out, and it was amazing. Incredibly effective in this one little pocket that I normally fish that I do well in, maybe get 3 or 4 nice big trout out of. I got more than a dozen. It's become a very important fly for me. Today we're going to be tying the Mercer's Jiggy Scud. We're going to be tying on an Umpqua X Series hook. It's an XC400BL. They come in a lot of different jig hooks, a lot of different styles. I like this one because it gives me a really good gape and still gives me enough hook shank to get the effect that I want with the scud. I'm going to use a tungsten copper bead just to fit. Of course, just if you're tying a 12 or an 18, it'll be different sizes. Generally speaking, if I want to err on one side or another, I'll err on the side of a little bit larger bead for the hook shank than I will small. A lot of times I'm fishing this fly in deeper, heavier water, and that'll help. And I don't like split shot particularly, so I depend on the weight of the bead a lot more. I'm using a Uni-Thread 8/0 Camel thread, camel color for this, and I'll just start up right behind that bead and wrap back. And I will actually wrap the thread back slightly past the bend because I'm going to incorporate that bend a little bit and create a little bit of a realistic bend to this fly because the scuds, when they're at rest or when they're not swimming, do tend to hunch up a little bit, and that running the body back over the bend of the hook will give that same effect. Very simple fly. People sometimes don't believe I actually came up with this fly because it doesn't have 32 steps. But the first step really is just to tie in a little bit of a small copper wire. It's going to be our rib. I'm going to wrap it all the way back again, just past that bend a little bit. And then the next step will be just a little dubbing. And on the scuds, I'll actually use my own Mercer signature Buggy flash for this, for the back of the fly. And the scuds tend to be somewhat translucent, and so I use a dubbing like this that when it gets wet does become translucent, or at least gives the illusion of being translucent through a little bit of flash. And I'll just standard touch dub that on a little bit and just wrap it, starting again back where I tied that rib in. A little bit more. And again, this is keep just kind of a doesn't have to be very tapered. It can be tapered slightly, but it doesn't have to be really. Pretty much just a little tube back here, just a straight rear section of this fly. Yeah, I'll come up about 2/3 of the way up to the bead, tying like this. And then take that rib and just bring it forward, tapering it slightly as I come forward from small wraps to larger. Tie that off. And then the third and last step is actually tied with some ice dub. It's a UV shrimp pink color. So very similar to the back of the fly, but it's just much more flashy, and when it gets wet, it gives it illusion again of translucency. This I dub slightly differently because I actually want it to kind of fold back over the body, so it gives the whole body that sense of translucency. touch dub, but very lightly. So there's not that much dubbing actually adhering to the thread. And then come forward. It looks real messy, but it's what I want. So it's kind of big and bulky and kind of messy looking. I'll pull it all back. And if we've got too much space still behind that bead, I'll do it a little bit more. Again, not real tight. Again, it's going to look messy here. But it's okay. That's what I'm looking for.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm going to tie that off.
We're gonna fish the tube.
And as soon as I'm just going to preen this back a little bit, take any real loose stuff off. You can even trim it a little bit if you want. But when this fly gets wet, what you see is a fly that's bulkier at the front, which accurately imitates the scud, which has a larger frontal part of the body with larger legs, that sort of thing. But when it gets wet, it slims down, and you will see the underside, that thinner back of the body with a pronounced segmentation. All of which I think is really important for scuds. And then, of course, this collar being very shiny gives you the illusion of translucency. So amazingly simple fly, but it's worked really, really well for me. Chris King, who brought it out to the Bighorn last year and fished a fair amount, said it was actually his top producing scud out there. So yeah, it's a very productive little fly. I tie it again 4 colors, mostly though this orangish color, orange pink, a tanner and olive. Those are the 3 most popular colors. Sometimes I put a little spawning color in the olive and tan, but that's it. The Jiggy Scud.